My name's Robbie, and this is my narrowboat, the Naughty Lass. For almost a decade, I've been exploring our canals, recording my adventures as I go.
This is incredible.
This time, I'm attempting a journey of around 300 miles through the north of England and the Midlands. From Sheffield, I'll make my way up country, joining the River Trent, and then on to the Chesterfield Canal. After Lincoln, I'll travel to Nottingham, and then onwards to Leicester, before I reach Braunston, the spiritual home for narrowboaters. All filmed during the quieter and colder months of autumn and winter. I've got my plan, but my plans don't always work out.
You can really see the wall that's completely collapsed here. It's destroyed.
So jump on board for my Canal Boat Diaries.
This is the perfect start. Beautiful, clear, sunny morning. I'm in North Lincolnshire and the weather is looking so calm, which is going to help me because I'm about to go out onto the tidal River Trent, which can be a little bit hairy at times, especially when there's lots of debris in the water and the tides can be quite fierce with the currents.
On this leg, I begin at Kidby Lock. I'll head south on the Trent to West Stockwith, where I join the Chesterfield Canal. From here, I'll travel through Retford and Worksop in Nottinghamshire, before I reach Journey's End, Kiverton Park in South Yorkshire.
Right then, cheers Mark. See you later. You can already see a bit of a flow. Woo. It's the power of water. I'm headed to the Chesterfield Canal. It's one that's planned to shut for winter, so I've only got a few weeks to get down there and enjoy it. And yeah, I don't even know if I can get right to the end. It's the great thing about these journeys. I literally don't know what's going to happen.
This impressive structure was built by the Great Central Railway. The bridge still carries road and rail traffic, but was once famous for its lifting section, which allowed larger boats to pass through.
However, it has been shut since the 1950s. So yeah, that's permanently closed. Shame, I'd love to see it in action. Really kicking along on this current here. I'm on the outside of the river, that's the fastest part as well. And as I'm on a rising tide, yeah, everything's allowing me to travel much faster than I normally would on the canal. It's great. It took a long time to find this boat originally, but as soon as I got on board, I fell in love with it, and I still love it now. Everything about it. I mean, it has a lot of quirks, don't get me wrong. You know, it's fairly rusty on the outside, but if it ever came to selling it, I don't even want to think about it. It means so much to me.
With fast-flowing tidal waters, joining the Chesterfield Canal requires an unusual manoeuvre.
I've just been advised by the lockkeeper at West Stockwith to turn around because there's still a bit of flow left in the river as the tide's still rising a little bit towards the end of its cycle. It should be quite gentle. I've just got to trust the lockkeeper and follow his instructions. Easy does it.
I've got a bit of a wait for slack water and the tide to turn, which will hopefully make it easier to enter the lock.
Boaters such as myself, we like to have a memento of all the places we've been, and there's a whole collection of brass plaques that were left on my boat when I got it, so I've been putting them up as I tick off the places that I visit. Got some new ones, such as the Tarda Big Flight, that's going on. That's when I fell in at the top of the 30 locks. I don't know if you remember that one. I certainly do. And it's sort of building to the collection. I've got a few gaps to fill in, and yeah, maybe I'll collect them at a later date.
Opening in 1777 and known locally as Cuckoo Dyke, the Chesterfield was one of the last canals surveyed by engineer James Brindley.
After West Stockwith Lock, this is the first one that I'm going to have to open myself. I'm quite looking forward to that. There's been a lot of automated ones I've had to do recently. I'll finally be able to get my windlass out and open a few lock paddles and gates. Moving on after my previous relationship, I've just got on with it. You know, you've got to, haven't you? You've just got to keep moving. I just don't seem to be able to keep the relationship going. Is it something to do with my boat? You know, is it me? My lifestyle? I don't know. And at the moment, I don't really know where to look for love. You know, I'm happy doing what I'm doing. Well, that was a lovely, quiet mooring here in Misterton. A bit too quiet, really. Fancy doing something. The weekend's coming up, and I've heard there's an event going on locally, so I'm going to try and turn up for that and get involved. But today I've got a couple of locks and a tunnel to take on.
Throughout the 19th century, it was a busy waterway, with boats carrying iron, ale and pottery. Some of the last barges to work the Chesterfield traded between Worksop and here at Workringham, carrying coal for the brickworks.
Oh dear, it was all going so well, and I've reached Bridge 75, but the canal is so shallow here, that I am going forward at tick over, that's the lowest speed, and I'm not getting anywhere at all. I'm making more progress pulling this thing along than I was running the engine, which means it shouldn't be too shallow, but the propeller relies on a volume of water around it large enough to, you know, get some propulsion. However, still worth me having a little look down into the weed hatch to see if there's anything caught on it. That's all, but it didn't take much. Let's see if that helps. Going full speed. With sheer brute force, I'm away.
The Chesterfield Canal is one of the shallowest that I've ever travelled along. So yeah, boats like mine get proper stuck.
This is the first tunnel on my adventure so far, so it's quite exciting really. It's not a very long tunnel, but yeah, it's a dry one according to the locals, so it's not going to have loads of things dripping on me, I hope.
Drakeholes is one of 2 tunnels built along this canal. Norwood, the other, was longer, however mine workings caused its partial collapse. And ever since it's been an obstacle for boaters like me, wanting to reach Chesterfield.
Right, got a nice little spot here between a couple of boats next to a facilities point, so that's really handy for emptying rubbish and filling up my water tank. Brilliant.
There's so many times I turn up at a place where there's lots of boaters and they're always saying, oh, you should have been here last week for the event. It was, you know, it was really good. And I just keep missing these things. But somehow this time I've timed it exactly right, because tonight we're having a procession of illuminated boats going up the canal.
The only thing is, I've had to borrow some lights because I don't actually have too many on board, because some of the boats are already looking amazing. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. John, this is your thing, isn't it?
This is our thing, this is our boat club thing, yes.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me along.
You're more than welcome.
It's sort of like a carnival procession, isn't it, really?
It is, yes. We have Blackpool illuminations, we have Matlock illuminations, and we have Drakehole illuminations.
Lovely. And we're off, this is it. I've joined the back end of the flotilla. I've just got to watch my speed. If I go too quick, I'll end up ramming someone. And the boat in front of me is made of plastic, so that would not be good for them. We've reached the point in the evening where the light really is at its lowest level, so all the lights are popping out, and you know what, this is really magical. I've never seen anything like this before. What an effort everyone's made, it's brilliant. I've taken my boat out many times before at night, but nothing quite like this. My boat is very, very simple. It's only got enough power and space for the bare minimum, really. There's no washing machine, so I'm here doing my pants and socks in my sink just by hand, really. But it works, and once rinsed out, I can hang them up next to the fire, and then I'm good to go for the next couple of days at least. Well, that was a lovely evening spent with other boaters, just pootling on down the canal, all lit up. It was lovely mooring as well. But now it's time to crack on to the next town, which is Retford. This is great. 9 times out of 10, I'm looking ahead, watching the canal unfold. But at this point, I'm spending more time looking down into the water because there's lots of fishies. Just coming into Retford in Nottinghamshire. It's here where I'll moor up and get my supplies in, all that sort of stuff.
The market town of Retford prospered during the 18th and 19th centuries with the coming of the Great North Road and the Chesterfield Canal.
What I look for in a town mooring is somewhere that's walking distance from a laundrette and a supermarket. They're basically the things that I need the most whenever I'm visiting a town. But it's also nice if you can find somewhere that is a little bit peaceful as well. You can't have it all, but I always try.
From Retford, I've got about 15 miles to go. I'll travel through Worksop and on to my destination, Kiverton Park in South Yorkshire.
Many of the canals from 1770 to 1800 were contour canals. This is peak James Brindley canal engineer period in time, and you're imagining you're digging the canals out by hand, shovels and pickaxes. It would have been very costly to build things like locks and aqueducts and embankments. And where I am now in the village of Ramby is a perfect example. I'm having to double back on myself. But actually the contour of this canal, the bends and all that, it's not a problem. What is a problem is the weed that's got caught in my propeller yet again. Blood's all rushed to my head, being upside down in the weed hatch. I was about to tell you about this lovely stretch of the canal, but right now I'm cursing James Brindley because he's also designed a very shallow canal, and at this point on this bend it's just chock-a-block full of weed.
Constructing canals demanded big investment, and excavating earth took manpower and cost vast sums. So it's not all Brindley's fault.
Got a little bit further to go, but I've been told there are some problems at Worksop where I'm headed. And yeah, I might struggle getting through. I don't know until I actually get there. Keeping the temperature comfortable in a boat is a real challenge because it's either really cold or really hot. And I'm specifically talking about the stove. It's been about 35 degrees on board, and in winter it's got as cold as 3 degrees, but only if you let the fire go out. Never let the fire go out. I was told that a wall had collapsed in the middle of Worksop, and I knew that I'd have to get some help to get past it. I'd have to shut my engine off and listen to the bank staff to help me get through. Right, just before I'm going to go under this wharf building, I've got to pull in, and I've got to listen very carefully to what these guys say because we're approaching the bit where the canal wall has collapsed. All right, guys, engine's off. You've got the ropes out. What's happening next?
We'll just pull you straight past, under the next bridge, and get back on into load me through the lock.
Cool, all right then, yeah. Right, heave ho. Here we go. They're doing all the hard work, really. I'm just steady in the back, keeping it in line. I wouldn't want to be the business that's got to sort that out. It's a very short little stretch here. I could do these lads towing me the rest of the way, really. It would be quicker. And that's it then, yeah?
That's it.
That's it. So a very short little trip there. It was just to get past that wall that's completely destroyed.
Leaving Worksop, the canal passes an expanse of water, once a sand quarry. It supplied a local glass factory, producing milk bottles for the Midlands.
Just coming up to Shire Oaks Flight. It's a set of 3 locks, and actually it is looking like the last set that I'm allowed to do on this canal because water levels have not recovered since summer, even though it's almost November now. Just not had enough rainfall, and one of 2 reservoirs, I've been told, are already empty, ready for repairs. Whatever happens, I am going to reach the end of this canal, but it might not be on the boat.
As an outlying waterway, the Chesterfield had its own distinctive working boat. A wooden, narrow-keeled craft with a cabin below deck. I've heard about some fellows who've got one, so I've called ahead as it's moored here in Shire Oaks.
Hi, Michael.
Hello, mate. How are you doing?
I'd come to see your boat here. I'm, just really excited to have a little look around if that's all right.
Welcome to Shire. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Well, this is Dawn Rose. It's a Chesterfield working boat. It's not really a replica boat. It's actually another one in the sequence. It's number 100 in the build of Chesterfield working boats.
So did you built this?
We did, yes. So it's not an old
Wow.
boat, it's a new boat.
Well, it could have fooled me.
I'll go in first and then you follow me. There's a board to put your feet on when you come down.
Living on a boat, you sort of learn to be almost a contortionist.
I think in the day,
Wow.
guys were a lot shorter. So you have got to keep your head down. And that's the table where they used to eat their food and sort out and cook on there. So it's quite cosy.
It certainly is, yeah.
But it's actually quite nice and warm as well. But the actual hold, because obviously that's the main part of the boat, and it held 25 tonne of coal.
You go first, Michael. Oh my goodness, it's so cramped. Dawn Rose is the first Chesterfield Canal working boat to be built since the 1930s. The last surviving one rotted away. All right, thanks everyone. Cheers. That's incredible. The fact that they built that boat themselves using traditional craftsmanship methods, just, mind-blowing and just lovely people. But for me, I'm going to carry on my journey on foot. Here goes. The Chesterfield is described as one of the most beautiful canals on the system, and walking alongside in this area you can definitely see why. There's a lot of locks to get through, but well worth the effort if you can make it, I think. With this part of the canal closed to boats, it's a peaceful experience, walking these final few miles. Right, this is it. I've gone as far as I can. This is the point at which we're faced with a tunnel that's blocked off, so boaters would be able to come here, but no further. I've travelled 43 miles along the shallowest canal, but it's been beautiful, and although I've not been able to take my boat all the way here, I've made the journey on foot, and I've really enjoyed it. But now, I've got to stop here, have a little bit of a break, and then go all the way back down again, back out onto the River Trent for the next part of my adventure.